Well, it's finally official. The new city is here. New laws are on the way. And before we go, we'll honor America. Roll it, Kirk. Well, it's official this week. The city of St. George is now without any obstruction. You've seen that the new city government has been sat. There's been initial conversation about what the budget will look like. And guess who we have here in studio for their first conversation as we record this, just as the Louisiana Supreme Court says they won't rehear the case against St. George, is the new mayor, Dustin Yates, and longtime buddy of mine, the new chief, Todd Morris. And so, Mayor, I'll start with you. Let's start with the most recent news about the Supreme Court. I'm sure you expected that, but now your thoughts going forward.
Sure. The first thing that comes to my mind is excitement. Very excited for the people in the St. George area that have fought so long to make this a reality. To go through 2 petition drives, to go through everything that we had to go through publicly, to go through the entire judicial system in the state of Louisiana, and today finally we get the ruling of the rehearing being denied. So
you got some work to do, Mayor, Chief. I mean, obviously you've got to build a city. You've got to create a structure where it functions for your residents and the businesses that are there. But you also got to do a little bit of getting past the angst that has existed in the parish since this journey has gone on. Do you have a plan to address some of that energy and tension that's been against the city?
Sure. Since the original Supreme Court ruling had come out, we have given a strong message that there has to be a sense of reconciliation here. Yeah. When we started this effort of ours, our idea was never to harm East Baton Rouge Parish. It was quite the opposite. It was really to help preserve East Baton Rouge Parish and make East Baton Rouge Parish sustainable for future generations. So our idea going into this next step of the process is to do just that, is to go in with an open mind and an open heart, with that sense that there's hurt feelings on both sides of this. And it's time to move past that. It's time to come together and move the parish forward.
So, Chief, you recently here with the EBR Sheriff's Office, and you've done work across East Baton Rouge Parish, obviously, in that capacity, and you're one of Sid's top guys over there. What's your goal as you start this new role with this new city?
Well, Clay, first of all, appreciate you having us, and really looking forward to, to moving forward in this new capacity as the chief of the city of St. George. And, Sheriff Gautreaux and I have had discussion. We're just going to continue to try to enhance and look at the law enforcement needs for the St. George community. Sheriff Gautreaux is continuing to provide those same services. We're going to look at the data from the area to see what kind of crime stats that are occurring in the corporate limits now of the city of St. George, and then talk to the sheriff about maybe enhancing some of those. And if we look to say there may be an issue that we'd like to have more uniform patrol presence, and so we'll talk with the Sheriff Gautreaux and we'll work that out. Then the city of St. George will pay for those additional services. Well, as a detective, if we wanted a dedicated detective or 2 detectives, to work certain crimes in the St. George area, we would pay for those. And of course, we serve a lot of committees together in technology. We're looking at new technology. We're looking at LPRs and crime cameras. We have a lot of those in the area. We were looking at enhancing those in certain parts of the city of St. George. And anything that benefits the city of St. George, Clay, benefits the whole parish. Our criminal nowadays, they're going not only from the whole parish wide, they're going to other parishes, other municipalities. So any enhancement that we do for the law enforcement area for the citizens of St. George just benefits our whole parish as a whole. Yeah. And that's what we're just going to be looking at. How can we best address those needs for our citizens?
Is there going to be a cooperative, or is there a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Sheriff's Office?
Well, there will be. There end up being a cooperative endeavor with the Sheriff's Office. We'll discuss that and talk to Sheriff Gautreaux about that and enter that cooperative endeavor agreement with him to continue to provide those same services that the citizens are already paying for. Yeah. And they're paying for that coverage right now.
Similar to what he has with Central.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this has been a question. So you recently, as the transition district was sat, talked about 2% of sales tax revenue now going to this new city form of government. The new treasurer talked about needing to get started with all the work that goes with that. It's unclear if it's $50 or $60 million. I was telling you that before we started.
Yes.
But one of the questions that people have is, can you adequately operate a city with $50 million? And if so, how?
Sure. Well, East Baton Rouge Parish is unique. It's unique in the way that it's structured. So we have numerous independent taxing districts within our parish that provide a lot of services that traditionally would fall under a municipality. So, for example, the Sheriff's Office. Another example would be the St. George Fire Protection District. So the two biggest drains on any municipal budget, two to three biggest drains, are always going to be police, fire, and public works. Well, the residents of our area are already paying property taxes that fund the fire department. They're already paying property taxes that fund the Sheriff's Office. They already pay property taxes that fund EMS, the library, recreation, council on aging, et cetera, et cetera. So when you really look at the total amount of tax dollars that are generated in our area, you can't just look at sales tax, you have to look at property taxes as well. And that number is somewhere in the neighborhood of 170 million. So the 50 to 60 million that you're referring to in sales tax revenue, that's going to go towards the main function that's going to go towards is public works, cutting grass, making sure our streets are repaired, drainage, things like that.
I was going to ask you about that. Alyssa, give me another 30 seconds. I was asking you about that. I'm going to ask about that. The roads, drainage, all of those things out there. You don't have as bad a situation with roads, but now that you take over the sole authority over them, it's going to be your responsibility. You don't foresee running into any trouble in the near future?
We do not. Part of the transition district's purview is to issue a RFP for services. So those services will be sent out. Companies will submit bids, proposals, and we'll competitively contract out all those services as we transition away from East Baton Rouge Parish services.
I got about 30 seconds. What's the first thing you're going to do now that this is behind you?
The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to schedule our first council meeting.
Okay, that should be interesting. What about you, Chief? First thing you're going to do?
We're just going to continue to look at the data for the St. George area from the crime statistics and see if we need to make any adjustments, to the coverage in those areas just to continue the safety needs of the citizens of St. George.
Well, we're going to have the new treasurer in here. I was talking to Drew Merle about that earlier to kind of dig into the numbers. We'll do that sometime in early July, and want to get you guys back to talk a little bit more. I appreciate y'all coming on.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, Clay, very
All
much.
right, some new laws are going into effect at the beginning of August. We'll talk a little bit about that next. Well, coming up on August 1st, a series of laws will go into effect. And I was in a conversation maybe 2 weeks ago with this lady, Kyla Romanak, and we were sitting in a lunch and learn talking about what's happening in the state. And it's about investing in young people and public safety. And at the end of the meeting, she started talking about some new laws that are coming into effect, and it caught most of us by surprise because we had just not been paying attention. Let me allow you to tell people some of the changes that are coming here.
One of the things that's happening is that Louisiana, as a state, will now treat 17-year-olds for criminal purposes as adults.
Right.
Which means that if a 17-year-old is arrested for any offense, including theft, and they're going to be taken straight to the parish prison.
Not juvenile detention
Not to juvenile
center.
detention. Wow. And they will go through adult court. One of the problems that creates is that federal law still sees the 17-year-old
as a minor, right,
who cannot be within sight and sound of an adult inmate.
You're right.
In East Baton Rouge, we don't have, our facility, our parish prison does not have a space where we can keep 17-year-olds out of sight and sound of the adults.
Yeah.
Which means that we have no place to hold a 17-year-old. If we can't send them to juvenile detention and we can't hold them at the parish prison, what is happening is that the sheriff has had to contract with
Jackson, right?
With Jackson,
Yeah.
and also now some are going to Catahoula. So two facilities that are 3.5 or so hours away from Baton Rouge.
Right.
So a 17-year-old arrested on Tuesday is going to be within 24 hours, they're going to be shipped out on a bus 3.5 hours away from their family and from everyone that they know.
And then the parole thing you told us about.
Yes.
Parole, as we know it, is kind of changing, and if you're convicted after August 1st, there is no chance for parole, right?
For crimes committed on or after August 1st, there will be no parole. The only people who might be eligible for parole are a juvenile, someone under 18 who commits a second-degree murder or in some cases a first-degree murder, may still have parole eligibility after 25 years, but anyone
after
else
25 years.
After 25 years. And that doesn't mean you're going to parole. It doesn't mean you're going to get out.
Yeah.
It means you have eligibility to go before the parole board and seek relief after 25 years. But no one else will have any parole eligibility, which means that you won't have any opportunity to go before a parole board and even seek relief.
And if you were convicted before this period, you are still eligible.
You are
right?
still eligible for, if you were otherwise
Right.
eligible.
So this is not retroactive. This is going forward.
Correct.
And then what about the 85% rule now?
The other thing that's changing is that we are going to a system that is similar to the federal system, where regardless of the offense, so even for those convicted of nonviolent offenses, even very small offenses, you will have to do at least 85% of your time before you have any opportunity to get out on good time or any other way. So a person sentenced will have to do at least 85% of their time. Some offenses is still flat time,
Yeah.
so they'll do every day for day.
I think
But
this is amazing news that people are missing. So let's say a kid goes out, gets into some situation, never been in trouble before, right? And it's a violent offense. This kid is going into the system and will stay into the system for 85% of the time given to him or her by a judge.
That's correct.
And then there is no chance for parole.
That's correct.
We got a minute left. Where are we going to put all these kids? Because I do think arrests are going to skyrocket.
I don't think there was any planning process involved. I don't think we didn't secure beds before we passed these laws. So we don't currently have the place to hold this many people.
So what does that do to the system? 30 seconds. What does that do to the system now? Because there's going to be an influx of arrests.
That's correct. I don't know if we're going to put up tents. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but we don't currently have the beds to house the number of people that we're going to be housing under or needing to house under the new laws.
Bottom line, you better make sure your kids act like they have sense and make smart decisions, because if you get into this system, you will take that ride. Kyle, I appreciate you coming on and talking with us. Let's talk about some kids actually doing something great. The Baton Rouge Ducks are here. We'll talk with them next. Well, look who we have here. The Baton Rouge Ducks are on set. Man, and Coach, you brought a few of your players with you, so
Yes, sir. Yes,
you
sir.
got coaches and support here for you. So let's talk about the Baton Rouge Ducks. When did you start doing this?
I started this for our first year.
Yeah.
We started off the just wanting to get kids involved.
Into baseball. Well, when we talked about this a few weeks ago, you said your big thing was baseball wasn't as popular as it used to be in the inner city, and really introducing it to these young men and getting them, really into something productive. And so how many kids do you have total on your team?
We have 3 different teams.
3 different teams?
Yeah, we have T-ball, coaches pitch, and this 10-year-old team.
All right, Casey, you're out there in that sun with them all the time and keeping them pretty busy. What's the best thing about mentoring these young men?
Oh, man, just keeping them out of trouble, making sure that they go on the right path, do everything they need to do, and being father figures for a lot of kids who don't have that.
How many teams are in the league?
Roughly for the Team U, I'm gonna say it's 7.
Yeah.
For the coaches pitch, we right at 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And T-ball, it's pretty much maybe 9 or 10 teams.
How many games?
Just varies. So the 10U team roughly plays about 15, 16 games.
Yeah.
The coaches pitch played about 10 games, and the T-ball plays about 13 games.
What time of the year do y'all start, or when do you start practice? Is it year-round, or when do you have them?
So by this being our first year, we just started in June.
Oh, so you just started?
We just started.
Man, when we talked, the way you were explaining it, I thought you'd been around for a little while. So you just
first
started.
year.
So
First
this
year.
is the first year.
First year, yeah.
And again, total on average, how many kids? You talk about 3 different teams. How many?
So it's around roughly 50 kids.
Yeah.
That's about each team. So 15 a team. So around
You had such passion for this, and I like to talk to people about investment, and I say when you invest in young people, that's investing in public safety too, because you also are investing in the economy, you're investing in education, because you keep them involved with something to get them productive. Now, you said you played baseball in college, right?
Yeah, I went to play, but I got hurt, so I couldn't go to college to play.
And what motivated you to have the idea to say, well, let me teach this to kids in the inner city?
So I roughly go to parks and to travel ball.
Yeah.
And it's not no none of
No kids of color.
No kids of color
You
playing.
can say black children.
Yeah,
on the show. It's okay, man.
Yeah, no kids of color playing, man. So I want to start my own,
Yeah.
so we can get some kids in the inner city playing.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's great. Baseball, like we were talking about, even the team up at Southern is not even largely African American
Right.
anymore. What's the biggest takeaway you want these kids to have after going through this experience?
Discipline.
I
Discipline
like it.
and understanding of what it really is to play baseball.
Yeah.
Because it's different than just going out there and throwing the football or dribbling the basketball.
Right.
You really have to put the technique into this game
Yeah.
and really get a true passion for it. So
The biggest surprise you've gotten since you guys have started now with this thing?
It's the love the kids have for the game.
Really?
A lot of kids just came out here looking to, I just want to play.
Yeah.
But now as they start playing and practicing and going to games, they start understanding the game.
Yeah.
And that's the part that brings excitement as coaches to know, all right, we're not just showing them, they're applying it, and they see
Yeah.
they're learning the game.
How can people contribute to the Baton Rouge Ducks, man, if they want to help you get more kids in this program? Stick this now.
Yeah, they can reach out. All right. They can reach out to us at on Instagram at BR Ducks Baseball, or they also can reach out on Facebook at Baton Rouge Ducks Baseball.
All right.
This game's not cheap, man. So
No,
to try
it's
to play.
not cheap. And you're helping families, and look, there it is on the screen. You're helping families who are finding something for their kids to do, especially during this summer. And quickly, give me your name. DeQuante?
The Quincy.
the Quincy.
DeQuincy? Okay.
Rodney.
Rodney?
So you're
There's a lot of cameras in here. What's
MJ.
MJ?
Tremaine.
Tremaine. All right, there you go. The Baton Rouge Ducks are at least 4 of them here in the studio.
Yes, sir.
Listen, thank y'all for what you're doing for these
man,
kids.
thank you.
Welcome
Thank you.
here every time, anytime. And look, y'all support this guy and
Yes,
his
sir.
team and what they're doing. Back with George Bell to Celebrate America next.
Oh boy, that was.
He is the president and CEO of the Capital Area United Way. I'm very honored to be one of his board members. He's also one of this area's best musicians. You're going to learn that in just a little bit if you haven't already. But quickly, George, let's talk about what's happening at United Way as we wrap up June.
Sure. Clay, as you know, we're completing our fiscal year.
Yeah.
And it's been a good year. We were able to reach our goal, fundraising goal, which has been a challenge with post-COVID.
Yeah.
But I'm very pleased to say that we are finishing strong, and now we're looking forward to next fiscal year.
What about fluctuations in the Alice population here? Are we up, down, static?
You know, in our parish of East Baton Rouge Parish, we're up. We're up to 55% of our population lives below the Alice threshold.
Which is asset limited, income constrained, and employed, the acronym
Excellent.
there.
You've been listening.
Studied all night. So,
Yeah.
And that's really something. People who are gainfully employed, but one bad thing away from ending up really kind of in a tough spot.
Yeah, but here's the thing I want to leave with your audience, and that is, you know, the way people can get connected to many of the resources that are available in our 10 parish region is by 211. You know, last year we saw over almost 30,000 calls where we were able to help connect people to resources such as rental assistance, such as where they can get information about food, food pantries, things like that. So over 1,000 resources in that database.
Well, that's something we'll kind of dig down in next month, but I want to get to this quickly with about a minute before George plays. You've got some stuff coming up next month, George Bell and Friends, right?
Musically, after a bit of a break, I've decided to jump back in, and I'm very pleased to jump back in. I have a summer series. I did one last year, and it was very popular, so back by popular demand.
That's right.
July 18th and July 25th. That's 2 Thursdays in the month of July. I'll be doing concert at the Arts Council.
Love it. Well, look, it's Independence Day weekend, and we felt like it's a good opportunity to honor America, and George is going to share his talent with us as he regales us with America the Beautiful. You got it, my friend.
Thank you.
Impressive. Impressive. I saw you do that at an event we held in Perkins Row maybe 6 years ago. It is impressive, and brother, I appreciate you for doing that.
You're quite welcome.
All right, guys, have a safe weekend. Enjoy the time with your family. Happy Independence Day to all those who have served our country. Thank you so much for your sacrifice. Next week's show will feature a conversation about the new council district. Darrell Hurst will be here.